I mean, I'm telling you what, you could tell last night in Lumberton, but you could especially tell tonight. North Carolina is Trump country. Thank you all for coming out. Thanks so much for coming out and standing in the pouring rain to hear from this Vice President about the choice that we face, the progress that we've made, and what we all need to do over the next 9 days. You know, and it's really great to share the stage today with a couple of people that I deeply admire. An accomplished doctor, a man who's traveled all over the world healing the sick. In the State House, he was a leader in North Carolina in the fight against opioid abuse. Since 2019, he's been one of the greatest allies of the MAGA agenda on Capitol Hill. Join me in thanking Congressman Greg Murphy for being an outstanding leader and a great friend. Also great to be here with a man who grew up on a family farm in Four Oaks. And again, he's emerged as one of the strongest conservative voices on Capitol Hill. He's a champion for North Carolina agriculture. Join me in thanking Congressman David Rouser. But we're all standing out here in the rain for one reason and one reason only. And that is that North Carolina and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You know, 4 years ago, almost to the day, here at Kinston Airport, a movement was born. A movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. Here in North Carolina, you believe we could be strong again. You believe we could be prosperous again. You said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016, and I know North Carolina is going to say yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in 2020. But first things first, and I can tell you're people that know how to get things done and to stick with it. So after you leave here today, I want you to get up tomorrow morning, if you haven't already got it done, and vote, North Carolina. Vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. Early voting's already started. I checked on the way here. The President has just cast his vote yesterday. Karen and I just voted back in the Hoosier State. So men and women of North Carolina, you got to get it done. And if you need a little bit of help, I can tell you, you can just go 10 minutes down the road tomorrow. Teachers Memorial School Gym, 500 Marcella Drive, here in Kinston, open 8 to 7:30. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Bring a family member, bring a neighbor, bring a friend, and vote for 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. Get it done. And I know you know why. And it sure was in high relief the other night, Thursday night, wasn't it? Did you all see that presidential debate? How great was that? President Trump took to the stage and he took the fight straight to Joe Biden, and President Trump won that debate hands down. I think the president probably said it best. We think about the choice that we face. The choice that brought you all out on this night of tempest to stand in the rain and stand firm. The president said with Joe Biden, you got 47 years of all talk, no action. But you're here tonight because you know what I know. Under President Donald Trump, it's been 47 months of all action, all results. 47 months of promises made and promises kept. I mean, just think about it. 4 years ago, we inherited a military that had been hollowed out by devastating budget cuts, an economy that was struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world, and our most cherished values were under steady assault from bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. But in 3 short years, because of the choice North Carolina made, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We secured our border, supported law enforcement, stood for life and liberty and the Constitution of the United States. I love this guy. And I don't need to tell all of you here in North Carolina with such a great tradition in our military. It all starts with our national defense. You know, it's amazing to think. After 8 years of Joe Biden being vice president, the budget cuts of our military had literally hollowed out our national defense. Did you know when we took office, about a third of the aircraft in the United States Air Force were on the ground being used as spare parts to keep other aircraft in the air? But under President Donald Trump, those days are over. President Trump has signed the largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. And I'm proud to report to you as your vice president, but also as the proud father of a Marine Corps aviator and the father-in-law of a Navy pilot, we are finally giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the support they need to defend this nation. We're doing it. And it hasn't been just about standing with those who serve in the armed forces. It's been about standing with all of you who did serve. In fact, I expect in this proud state that there's a fair number of men and women that wore the uniform of the United States with us today. Would you mind raising a hand in the air and giving us a chance to say thank you for your service one more time? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. We're truly grateful. You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, America saw years of scandal at the VA that shocked the conscience of our nation. You remember those days. We literally had veterans who were passing away waiting to receive care at the VA, care that they had earned in the uniform of the United States. But under President Donald Trump, we passed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in 50 years. We fired nearly 3,000 VA employees that weren't giving our veterans the care that they deserve, and Veterans Choice is now available for every veteran in America. And when it comes to the economy, those first 3 years, the results are just as inspiring. After Joe Biden spent 8 years trying to tax and spend and regulate and bail us back to a growing economy, President Donald Trump created the greatest economy in American history. It's amazing to think, in the midst of a global pandemic, Joe Biden actually wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion. He wants to pass a Green New Deal that would put $2 trillion of investment and burden on our businesses. Well, President Trump, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses large and small. We rolled back more federal red tape than any administration in American history. We fought for free and fair trade, unleashed American energy, and in our first 3 years, businesses large and small created 7 million good-paying jobs, including nearly 250,000 jobs right here in the Tar Heel State. It's amazing. Those first 3 years, North Carolina saw its lowest unemployment rate since the Great Recession and its highest home ownership ever. You know, North Carolina and my home state of Indiana are, we must have a Hoosier in the room. Indiana and North Carolina are a lot alike in many ways. I mean, we do two things well. We make things and we grow things, right? When Joe Biden was vice president, America actually lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. And the last president, who's back out on the campaign trail now, remember the last president? He said those manufacturing jobs were never coming back. Remember he asked, "What magic wand do you have?" We didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in just 3 years, including 15,000 right here in North Carolina. Manufacturing is back under President Donald Trump. And as we stand here at Kinston Airport, I know we're surrounded. On most days, I could have seen it out the window. I know we're surrounded by some of the most beautiful farmland in North Carolina. And I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who has always fought for family farmers every single day. Under Vice President Joe Biden, we saw taxes raised on farms. We saw regulations stifling American agriculture and compromising private property rights. President Donald Trump, we cut taxes in a way that allowed for immediate expensing of all the equipment that agriculture requires. We actually repealed the estate tax for nearly every family farm in America. Death is no longer a taxable event, and we repealed the waters of the USA and restored the private property rights of family farmers across America. And this president's been there again and again. So we've seen China retaliating against our farmers. The truth is that this president provided billions of dollars of support of our family farmers to see them through. And none of that would have been possible, I promise you, without the strong advocacy and consistent leadership of farmers in North Carolina by Congressman David Rouser on the Agriculture Committee. Give Congressman Rouser a round of applause, will you please? He's been a champion for family farms. And when it comes to trade, so important to North Carolina and America. Did you know when we came into office, half of our international trade deficit was with communist China? We were losing $500 billion a year in our trading relationship with China. Joe Biden, he's been a cheerleader for China all along the way. He said the rise of China was a positive development. He scoffed at the idea that China was even a competitor of our country. But under President Donald Trump, we put China on notice. We told them the era of economic surrender is over. We imposed tariffs on China's products, and we told them that we're going to hold them accountable until they open their markets to what we make and what we grow and respect American businesses. And closer to home, our trading relationship with Mexico and Canada is so important to North Carolina and all across this country. I mean, for years, you heard Democrats complain about NAFTA, didn't you? And the truth is, in the 25 years since NAFTA was signed, we literally saw thousands of factories shuttered all across the heartland. And those jobs were moving south of the border and overseas. In all those years, Joe Biden never lifted a finger to fix NAFTA. But once America elected the author of The Art of the Deal, America got a way better deal. NAFTA is gone, and the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is here to stay. And it's a win for North Carolina farmers and manufacturers. I mean, experts tell us that we're going to sell another $2.2 billion in agriculture goods alone to Canada and to Mexico. It's a huge win for agriculture in this state and in this nation. And finally, when it comes to health care, you all remember the disaster of Obamacare, don't you? Remember all the lies of the last administration when Joe Biden was vice president? I mean, they said if you like your doctor, you can keep him. That wasn't true. They said if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. That wasn't true. They said health insurance premiums would go down. When we came into office, health insurance premiums had actually doubled in this country. And during the debate last week, Joe Biden said, and I quote, "Not one single person with private health insurance lost their plan under Obamacare." The truth is, 6 million Americans with individual health care plans saw those plans canceled when Obamacare took effect. It's a fact. And now Joe Biden has a plan to import the worst parts of Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All into the heart of Obamacare. I mean, it'd make a bad system worse by importing socialized medicine from Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All and dropping it into Obamacare, calling it a public option. I mean, inserting a public option into Obamacare would threaten the private health insurance of 180 million Americans. And I'm here tonight to tell you that it would set us on an inevitable path to socialized medicine. Under this president, we repealed the individual mandate of Obamacare. We've lowered the cost of health insurance for small businesses. We've cut the cost of prescription drugs. We passed right to try. Medicare Premium Advantage plans fell by 34%. And with President Donald Trump in the White House and Dr. Greg Murphy in the Congress, we're going to lower the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. And America will never be a socialist country. Men and women of North Carolina, we have a choice to make. And I believe you know what it is. It's why you're coming out tonight. It's why I see that determination on your face. It's really a choice between a Trump recovery and a Biden depression. I mean, a recent nonpartisan study of Joe Biden's economic policies, $4 trillion tax increase, a $2 trillion Green New Deal, just for starters, says that America would lose 5 million jobs if Joe Biden put his economic plan into effect. And the average family would lose income of $6,500 a year. So you got to ask your neighbors and your friends and your family members a question I know you all have already answered. And every day for the next 9 days, I'd love you to walk up to him and say, I was standing out in the rain. Mike got off this plane. He was standing in the rain too. And he wanted me to ask you, who do you really think, this is what you got to say to him, who do you really think is going to bring this economy all the way back? I mean, a career politician who spent 47 years in Washington, D.C. and wants to raise taxes, grow government, drop an avalanche of regulation and economic surrender on the American people, or a proven job creator who's going to keep cutting taxes, rolling back regulation, and fighting for American jobs and American workers. For our future, for our comeback, for American jobs, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I'm telling you, that's a choice. That really is a choice. And that's where it starts. But that's not even where it ends. You know, it is about security. It's about our prosperity and jobs. But it's also about the safety of our families and safety on our streets. And I'm here to tell you, President Donald Trump has stood every day for the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement, and we always will. You know, the president, I know what you all know. Men and women who put on the uniform of law enforcement around this state and around this country are some of the best people in the world. And they deserve the respect of every American every single day. Would you all mind showing the police officers who is with us here today just how much we appreciate what they and their families do to protect and serve? We back the blue. Thanks, everybody. You know, President Trump and I will always support the right of Americans to peaceful protest. It's enshrined in our Constitution. But rioting and looting is not peaceful protest. Burning businesses is not free speech. Now, for months, all Joe Biden talked about was peaceful protesters, remember? As Americans literally watched businesses in communities around this country burn to the ground. I was in Minneapolis not long ago with a wonderful African-American business owner named Flora Westbrook. Flora told me about the night, a few nights after the killing of George Floyd, that she watched the violent protesters come closer and closer to that little salon that she'd built 35 years ago, until the night came that they literally burned her to the ground. You know, the truth is Joe Biden would double down on the very policies that have led to violence in America's streets. I mean, when you start to withdraw support for those who protect and serve our families, you only embolden those who would do violence to our families and our communities. Now, Joe Biden explains it all by saying in his words that America is, quote, systemically racist. And he and Kamala Harris say they believe that police have a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. When Joe Biden was asked if he'd support cutting funding for law enforcement, he replied, yes, absolutely. But under President Donald Trump, I'll make you a promise. We're not going to defund the police. Not now, not ever. I mean, we all know standing here tonight, we don't have to choose between supporting the courageous men and women of law enforcement and supporting our African-American neighbors and families and friends and other minorities and families in our cities. I mean, we've done both for the last 4 years, and we're going to keep supporting law enforcement and keep expanding jobs, educational opportunities, and safety for African Americans and all the families in our cities for 4 more years. We're going to have law and order in every city in this nation for every American of every race and creed and color. So help us God. So it's about law and order. And it's about standing strong for the rule of law. So we stand here tonight. I'm proud to report President Trump has already appointed more than 200 conservative judges to our courts at every level, and they are all men and women of integrity who will uphold all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Now, last month, we rightly paused as a nation to honor the life and service of the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But when the memorials were over, President Trump fulfilled his constitutional duty when he nominated a brilliant, principled, conservative woman who loves the Constitution to the Supreme Court of the United States, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't she great? And President Trump and I called on Democrats this time to give Judge Barrett a respectful hearing. But we had reason to be concerned. You all remember when she was being confirmed to the Court of Appeals a couple years ago, Democrats in Washington actually criticized Judge Barrett for her Catholic faith. The leading Democrat on the Judiciary Committee actually said that Judge Barrett's faith was a concern because she said, and I quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood elites have been criticizing Judge Barrett for her faith and convictions ever since. Well, I got news for the Democrats and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me. That dogma lives loudly in you. And the right to live and work and worship according to our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. So the Senate's going to cast a vote about this time tomorrow night. And after they discharge their duty to advise and consent, I'll make you a prediction. Judge Amy Coney Barrett will be Justice Amy Coney Barrett. We're going to fill that seat. And let me say, all the progress we've made, soon to be 3 Supreme Court justices, 230 federal judges, would not be possible without the strong and consistent support of both of North Carolina's senators in Washington, D.C. So North Carolina, right after you get done voting to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, we need you to re-elect Senator Thom Tillis for 6 more years in the United States Senate. Men and women, it's about having a president who'll stand by the Constitution and having a majority in the Senate that'll stand by that president. This is really about our liberties. And here in North Carolina, where faith is so important, it's such a rich tradition. You all deserve to know when Joe Biden was vice president, we saw a steady assault on religious freedom of Americans. I mean, they even hauled a group of nuns into federal court to force them to compromise their faith to live under the mandates of Obamacare. President Donald Trump, we restored the conscience rights to doctors, nurses, teachers, and religious charities, and President Trump ended the assault on the Little Sisters of the Poor, and the Supreme Court made it permanent. Under President Donald Trump, we will always stand for the freedom of religion of every American of every faith. And finally, beyond our liberties, I have to tell all of you standing here tonight, I couldn't be more proud to be vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. Where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth, President Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in American history. And we're going to stand for the right to life for 4 more years. So it's amazing what we've accomplished in those first 3 years. We rebuilt our military, revived our economy. We stood for law and order, liberties and life. And let me say, none of that would have been possible without the strong and consistent support of North Carolina's Republican delegation to Congress. So just like I said about the Senate, right after you vote to re-elect President Donald Trump, we need to send Congressman Greg Murphy and Congressman David Rouser to a new Republican majority in the House of Representatives and retire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. We got to do it. I mean, when you look at what we were able to accomplish in those few years that we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate, it's truly remarkable. I mean, in 3 short years, we made America great again. It's true. And then 2020 happened, and the coronavirus struck from China. But I can tell you, before the first documented case of community spread anywhere in America, President Trump's leadership shone forth. Our president did what no American president had ever done. He suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. President Trump put the health of America first. Now, Joe Biden said that was, quote, xenophobic. He's actually said it was hysterical. He wrote a few days earlier that to close off travel from anywhere in a global pandemic would, quote, make things worse. But I can tell you, as the head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China saved untold American lives and bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. It's true. We reinvented testing. We saw to the manufacture and distribution of literally billions of medical supplies to our incredible doctors and nurses and healthcare providers. We developed new medicines and therapeutics. And we are just a short time away from having the first safe and effective coronavirus vaccines in tens of millions of doses for the American people. And I want to promise you, until that day comes that we have that vaccine, we're going to keep making sure our incredible doctors and nurses have all the support that they need to give anyone in this country struggling with the coronavirus the level of care that we'd want a family member to have. We're going to keep protecting the vulnerable. We're going to keep saving lives, developing life-saving medicines. And under President Donald Trump, we're going to keep opening up America again. You know, while Joe Biden is talking about shutting down our economy, it's amazing to think on the strong foundation that President Trump poured in those first 3 years, and with the unprecedented support for families and businesses that these congressmen made available, direct payments to families, paycheck support for businesses. In the last 5 months alone, having lost 22 million jobs at the height of this pandemic, we'd already seen 11.5 million Americans go back to work, including 320,000 people right here in the Tar Heel State. We are opening up America again, and we are opening up America's schools. So men and women, we've gone through a time of testing. But looking out at this hardy bunch tonight, I know you realize that we're coming to a time for choosing. The choice in this election has never been clearer. The stakes have never been higher. I mean, when you look at their agenda of higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, a Green New Deal, defunding the police, abortion on demand, it's clear. Joe Biden would be nothing more than a Trojan horse for the radical left. Now, Joe Biden says that democracy is on the ballot. Well, I think our economic recovery is on the ballot. I think law and order are on the ballot. But I want to say from my heart tonight, I truly believe that there are things much more foundational to our country that are on the ballot as well. You know, in this election, I think it's not going to be so much whether America ends up more Republican or more Democrat, more conservative or more liberal, more red or more blue. I think the choice in this election is whether America remains America. It's whether we're going to chart a course for our children and grandchildren built on our highest ideals of freedom, individual responsibility, free enterprise, faith, and family, or whether we're going to let Joe Biden and the radical left take our nation on a path of less freedom, more government, socialism, and American decline. So let me say, for nothing less than our freedom, for nothing less than all the ideals that have always made this nation great and exceptional, North Carolina, we need to decide right here and right now that Joe Biden will never be President of the United States. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. You know, I was told on the plane here that it was almost 4 years ago to the day that a candidate named Donald Trump was standing right here at Kinston Airport. Maybe many of you were there that night. And he made promises to the people of North Carolina. And I'm here to tell you, having been at his side every step of the way these last 4 years, against overwhelming opposition from the Democrats in Washington, against unrelenting attacks by their allies in the national media. There's never been a day gone by from that day to this that President Donald Trump hasn't gotten up and fought to keep the promises that he made to the people of North Carolina. Now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on, North Carolina. So we need you to reach out every day for the next 9 days. Reach out to family and friends. Tell them all that we've accomplished. Tell them about the choice we talked about tonight. Tell them about the stakes in this election. And tell them all that we can do with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I mean, 4 more years means more jobs. 4 more years means more judges. 4 more years means more support for our troops. And it's going to take at least 4 more years to drain that swamp. So this is it, North Carolina. We've got 9 days to go. And we need you to stay in the fight. For a stronger and safer America, stay in the fight. For a great American comeback, stay in the fight. For faith and family, for our children, born and unborn, stay in the fight. And for our freedom, we need you to fight for 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You stay in the fight, and I promise you we'll stay there every step of the way with you. And in these uncertain times, where the opposition says that we're headed into dark days, I'd encourage you to have faith. Have faith in America and in the boundless capacity of the American people to overcome any challenge. And have faith that He who has ever guided this great nation, as the old book says, knows the plans He has for us. Plans to prosper us, not to harm us. Plans to give us hope and a future. And with faith in the American people and faith in God's grace, we know the best days for America are yet to come. So thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for staying out in the rain. I leave here today with renewed confidence. Seeing the resilience and the enthusiasm, I can't wait. Can't wait to call him from the plane and say, I was out there in the pouring rain in North Carolina. We had hundreds of people out that support you, Mr. President, and nobody laughed. So thank you. I leave here today with renewed confidence that if all of us do all that we need to do between now and the close of polls, we're going to have a great victory all across North Carolina and all across America. We're going to make North Carolina and America stronger than ever before. We're going to make North Carolina and America more prosperous than ever before. We're going to make North Carolina and America more united than ever before. And with Senator Tom Tillis in a renewed Republican majority in the Senate, with Congressman Greg Murphy and David Rouser in a new Republican majority in the House, with President Donald Trump back in the White House, and with God's grace, we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out tonight. God bless you. God bless America. Now let's go get it done, North Carolina.